Hello, I'm Jody from Broadway Clay, and I'm here to show you today how to make your own tropical fish. In your bag, you will find a well-wrapped piece of clay, a glaze kit, and a paintbrush. The things that you need to get from your house are a little bit of water, and then just a knife, fork, and spoon. Just make sure that you wash them after you're done with this today. This clay will dry out, so when you get it out of the bag, make sure that you're ready to work. And if you're not going to work with it immediately, you need to wrap it back up really good. This is a water-based clay and it can dry out. So please be careful with that clay. The first thing that you need to do today is to break your clay up into 3 equal pieces of clay. We're going to take these and we are going to put them in our hands and squeeze them into a ball. I'm going to take my 2 pieces that are most equal together and set the other piece aside for later. I'm going to now take these, pound them into a ball, and we are going to be making pinch pots. You're going to be making 2 long skinny pinch pots. We are going to be attaching them together. Then we are going to be adding some details onto your fish. Take your thumb, push it through your ball, but you don't want to push all the way through. You want to make sure there's about a pinky's worth of clay at the bottom of your pot. Now you are going to start pinching, and when I'm pinching, I'm actually taking my fingers and coming up because I want this fish pot to be long and skinny. If you get some cracking, you're just going to take your fingers and gently smooth and squeeze. I am squeezing my fingers together. Now you want this ball of clay to be about the same size, and it's going to fit together with this ball of clay. So push your thumb down, you're going to do the same thing. What I've done here is tried to keep this thickness pretty thick. You don't want to squeeze the lip fit skinny. You want to see if they're going to fit together. These look pretty good. If one is a little bit too small, take that one and squeeze it open just a little bit. You want lots of surface area here because we are going to be connecting these 2 pieces together. So take your pieces and gently tap them on your table. Okay, that is going to give me flat surfaces to put those 2 things together. Pick up your fork. Go ahead and start to scratch into your ball of clay. This is called scoring. Take your other piece and score it as well. Now I'm going to bring my water in. I'm going to take my water and dab some water on my pieces. You do not want to smooth your scratches down. So if you accidentally smooth your scratches down, come back. You're going to go in one direction and in the opposite direction. You want these to be nice and scored up. The next step is to attach these together. You're going to take them and gently wiggle them together. I am taking my thumbs and gently as I wiggle, I am pressing on this seam. I'm wanting to trap air inside of this so that I can gently smooth these together. Once I have done this, you may need to have an adult or older person help you with this step. It really needs to be sealed tight. After this step, I'm going to take my thumb and gently take this clay and I'm pressing it to the other side. Once I am done with this side, this finger is holding down and my thumb is pressing towards my finger in order to move that clay towards it. Now, go the other direction and take that clay and I am going over and pressing it down, going over, pressing it down. You want to make sure at this point you do not have a hole, because I'm actually pressing towards the air in the middle of my sphere of clay. Now I'm going to take, and I'm gently going to take my hand and press these together. When you get done, you may have a few little marks. Those are no big deal. I can gently smooth those out. And if there's still some marks when you're done, that's okay. There's always going to be a few little marks. Even on mine, there's going to be some marks in here. You have to think about what size you want this fish to be. Do you want him to be long and skinny? Do you want him to be short and fat? If you want him to be short and fatter, you're gently going to push them together. If you want him to be longer and skinnier, you're gently pushing that in your hands and rolling that out. So get your fish shape the way that you want it. Now you need to start adding the details. We are going to want a fin at the top. Okay. You can make your details however you want. I'm going to show you how mine looks. You are welcome to do yours in a different way. The only thing I will tell you you have to do is look at your pinky, and everything you put on this has to be at least as thick as your pinky. Things that are really thin in pottery are probably going to break, especially since you're going to have to bring this back to the studio. So make sure every addition that you add is as thick as your pinky. I want to add a fin up at the top, a little tail fin. I'm going to add 2 fins on the side, and I'm going to give mine lips and eyes. I'm going to gently lay them on the table. I'm going to make this my top fin. I'm going to peel this off. I'm going to shape this with my fingers. I'm going to gently take this down and press it. I'm going to press that on the table a little bit and make myself a nice fin. I'm going to use the back of my knife to give my fin some lines. And I want you to see, this is about as thick as my pinky. I'm going to put this onto my fish. This is my top of my fish. And I'm going to see where that lays, and I'm going to scratch. I'm going to score here. I'm going to score here. These are the 2 places that are going together. Put a little dip of water here, a little bit of water here, and I'm going to wiggle these together. There's my top fin. Now I want to add my 2 side fins. So I'm going to take off about this much clay. I don't want these the same size. That one's a little bit bigger. I'm going to gently take these and shape them. I'm pressing and squeezing. I'm going to shape them into this kind of fins that I want. And then I'm going to add these on to my little fish. So these pieces are going to stick together. I'm going to score here, little water here, little water here. Wiggle it into place so I know it's on there really good. Pressing and wiggling. Now I'm going to add the other wing. Now I'm going to work on my tail fin. I want it to be a little bit bigger. I think I'm going to have it go like this. It's nice and thick. I'm going to take my knife, add some designs. See where that fits? I'm going to score here. 2 different directions, up and down, side to side. I'm going to take my finger, wiggle this into place, and now I'm going to work on my eyes. I want him to have some big bulging eyes. So I'm gonna get a couple in place. I'm gonna roll this one into my hand. I'm gonna roll this one into my hand. This eye is bigger than that one, but I'm okay with that. I think that'll be fun. I'm going to gently press it on my table so that it has a flat side. And I'm gonna have to score where I want these eyes. Now at this point, I will tell you, if you have a paper clip on these smaller pieces, that might work a little bit better, but a fork will work just fine. Gonna put a little dot of clay, wiggle it into place, wiggle it into place. In your packet, you got a paintbrush, and you can use this paintbrush and you can make dots with it too. So that's just another thing you can work with. So right now, here's my fish. And I think he needs some lips. You can make lips in a lot of different ways. You can only make coils with really wet clay, so make sure your clay is wet. I'm going to kind of shape this, or squeeze this into a worm shape. I'm going to roll this out on my table, and I'm going to bring this around. I'm going to gently put some dots here, put some dots here, and I'm going to take my fingers and smooth that together. Okay, I think that works pretty well. Okay, I'm going to have to score where I want these to be. At this point, you can decide if you want to add some extra detail to your fish before you start glazing it. You can take a spoon and you could wiggle it like this, and you could make things that look like scales. I'm going to now go back and make sure that everything looks like it's attached on there really well. And what I would like you to do is to set this aside for at least a half an hour. If you're gonna set it aside overnight, put it back into your baggie, it's actually going to firm up, and when you come back to it, it's going to be a little bit harder before you start to glaze it. I do want it to still remain wet, and I prefer that you bring it back to the studio while it's still just a little bit wet. Yours doesn't need to look like mine. If you wanted to add something else or build in a different way, that's fine too. If you decide not to build a fish and you build something else, we are going to fire that for you. Now that you have taken this back out of the bag, it's a little bit firmer. At this point, if it is firm enough, we need a hole in this little fish. Otherwise, when it goes in the kiln, the air inside, when it heats up, will expand, and it might crack your fish or even possibly explode in the kiln. So I think the best place for you to put a hole would be right in this guy's mouth. I simply took my paintbrush and stuck it in there. The paper clip could work as well. We just need a little hole so that the air can escape when it is being fired. There are a million different ways that you can glaze, and we have a little glazing tutorial. You have gotten yourself a little bit of glaze here. If you need to know how to mix colors, please go back in our tutorial so you can see how you can mix colors from these.